Here's a remarkable article in the New York Times, how the Biden administration can help solve our reality crisis. Now, you have to think for a moment to realize how Orwellian this is. Evidently, we are in a reality crisis, a crisis of being able to determine what is reality. And the New York Times, an independent newspaper, is calling on the government to solve this problem by adjudicating reality. There are several proposals in this article, but one is for Biden to create a kind of cross-governmental network headed by a reality czar, I kid you not, to essentially proclaim this is reality. That's not reality. Those people who say that, they're not living in reality. Now, it seems that Orwell's 1984, far from being a dystopian warning, has become almost, you may say, a democratic handbook. It's almost like we're living in some crazy, surreal future where a group of vicious loons have taken over the country and they've stumbled upon Orwell's book and they go, oh man, this guy really had it going on. This is awesome. Let's do this. This is really what we want. For those of us who are at the receiving end of all this restriction and censorship, it's terrifying. But of course, for the people who are on the side of the censors, they go, whoa, what censorship? No one's censoring us. Yeah, no one's censoring you, but censorship is ultimately about shutting people down who are critical of the government and critical of the powers that be. Now, I said a moment ago that I was more outraged by the fact that we can't talk about voter fraud than about voter fraud itself. The voter fraud can be disputed. There was voter fraud, of course. How much of it there was has never been fully established. Was it enough to overturn the election? That can all be debated, but that's the point. Why isn't it being debated? What's going on when there is a private-public alliance that recruits all these digital companies on its behalf to shut down people for stating misinformation? But what they claim is misinformation is not established as misinformation. Where is the proof that there was no election fraud? That's never been proven. In a free society, you're able to debate issues. You're even able to hold outlandish views. You're even allowed to have misinformation and spread it. Imagine if someone were to say 30 years ago, I think FDR knew that the Japanese were about to bomb Pearl Harbor. They may be right, they may be wrong. Why can't they say it? Or let's say someone says, I believe LBJ was involved in the plot to kill JFK. They might be right, they might be wrong. I think they're wrong, but let's say that's their view. Why can't they say it? No one stopped them from saying it. Or just a few years ago, people who said Obama was born in Kenya. Now, I didn't say that. In fact, I said the opposite. I said Obama was born in Hawaii. I went to Hawaii. I went to the Kapiolani Medical Center, where Obama was born. I said that Obama's ideas come from his father. So in that sense, his ideas have a foreign root, but not Obama himself. But there was no question that the people who said that had a free speech right to say it. The idea that they should be silenced or shut up or banned or thrown off or deprived of technology to communicate with each other. Just a few years ago, we knew that this was nuts. This was nuts. Now, it's one thing for these platforms to say, well, this is our platform, Twitter, Facebook. We don't want you saying things we don't like. Not misinformation, just we don't like it, and it's our platform, so you're playing in our sandbox, and we own the sandbox. I get that. That is an argument not based upon free speech or even justice. It's an argument based on power. And then they say to you, go start your own platform. Go where you can talk. You make your own sandbox. But then, when we do, Parler, an alternative to Twitter, the technology moguls mobilize to shut that down. Now, we must make this project of shutdown fail. We must make sure that alternative platforms do develop where we can speak. But right now, we are silenced, and that's a fact. We are silenced in the sense that there's a sword of Damocles over our heads, and if they have the power to cancel us, in effect, we're not free. We are at their mercy. We are at their behest. And then while they silence us, they attack us at the same time. It's not like they silence us and move on. No, they want to silence us, and while we are quiet, they demonize us. They present us as if we are some sort of Al-Qaeda type insurgents who want to overthrow the government. We're anti-democratic. We're enemies of freedom. We should be treated as domestic terrorists and domestic enemies. So all this incendiary rhetoric is directed at us, those of us who didn't even go to Washington, D.C. We're not near the Capitol, certainly didn't storm the Capitol. And our crime is not going along with what the digital moguls believe and what the left believes. They're trying to enforce a countrywide regime of a, not just as one-party state, but a one-party set of views, what the Nazis called Gleichschaltung, coordinating the whole society to march in lockstep with the National Socialist regime. So this is our chilling situation. I've never seen anything like it in my adult lifetime here in America. It shows that this election did have consequences that go beyond the normal ambit of politics. Essentially, the left is now demanding the right to set the parameters of discourse. You're allowed to comment within these parameters, but outside these parameters, if you do, we will shut you down, we will demonize you, we will turn you into a public non-person, and then we will set about, while you're defenseless, trying to destroy your life.